Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here. This is our first Syracuse Spotlight, and we're excited this evening to have a conversation with Mike Tirico and four awesome Syracuse University students. My name is Peter Hagan. I'm one of the admission officers, and I'm also a proud graduate of Syracuse University. I spent most of my career in the admissions office, although I'm coming to you live from my dining room, and it's bath time upstairs, so I'm going to apologize in advance if anything goes wacky with my three kids who are members of the Syracuse classes of 2034, 2036, and 2038, whether they like it or not. We've designed this program to be a little bit different from your typical college information session. And of course, Syracuse, like all other great colleges, offers a number of opportunities to learn more about us on Zoom. And we'd invite you to check those out, and we'll provide some more information about that later. But tonight is a conversation about the experiences of four Syracuse students who have done and are doing great things, led by Mike Tirico, who is also a proud graduate of Syracuse University and a leader in broadcast sports with NBC. As we begin, I would like to acknowledge with respect the Onondaga Nation, firekeepers of the Haudenosaunee, the indigenous people on whose ancestral land Syracuse University now stands. And I would also want to recognize veterans on this Veterans Day. Syracuse is a place that is very committed to veterans and military families, and I think as you learn more about us, you'll understand how that's really part of our heritage. And so for those of you who may be with us tonight or thinking of loved ones who have served, we are deeply grateful for your service and appreciate you being here. And finally, before I turn this over to Mike, just want to talk a little bit about how this works. We have a series of questions, and thank you to those of you who've submitted questions. We, of course, in the time we have, won't be able to get to all of them, but we'll do our best to follow up with you and would be happy to connect with you as you continue to explore Syracuse and have more questions as time marches on. In just a moment, I will again turn it over, and then I'll come back at the end with just a few announcements to wrap things up. I'm particularly grateful to our students, all the students who support the work in the admissions office and across campus at Syracuse, in particular in this most difficult semester. I feel like if I put a nickel in a bucket every time someone said unprecedented on a Zoom call this fall, I could have retired. But this week in particular, as the public health crisis has changed locally and our campus will move to remote instruction very soon, I'm personally grateful to Savannah and Kate and John and Julio for giving up their time tonight to be with us, even in this transition. And so with that, I would, honored and pleased to introduce Mike Tirico again, and will Mike turn it over to you, and I'll see you all back here when we wrap up.
Awesome, Peter. Thanks. Hi, everybody. Good to be with you from my office at home. I live in Michigan, but it's great to be with you and to be with everyone else here. For a lot of you who are students, I know this has been a challenging time, and everybody tells you that. We know what you're going through. I have my wife and I, who's also a Syracuse alum, by the way. We have two college students who just went through this process the last couple of years. It was difficult for us being able to visit campuses. I know it's kind of tough not being able to do it and get all the things you want to get. But this is a pretty cool night because you're going to hear from not just one, but four other students who are going to have conversations with you about what Syracuse has been like. They remember what it's like to be in your shoes and what they love about the place. And maybe something they say will spark a question you can follow up with the admissions staff, or just continue to fuel your passion for Syracuse. And I know some of you may have mom and dad hanging out in the background, trying to listen. As the parent who was that hanging out in the background person a couple of years ago, it's cool. Let them listen. They care. They care a lot. They want to make sure that you get the best information to make this decision. So let's bring in everybody, and I'll have them introduce themselves. Julio Burgos, Kate Edwards, John McCabe, Savannah Stocker are our four students who we're going to be hearing from, three seniors and a sophomore. So Savannah, I'm going to let you go first, since you're the youngest of the bunch here. You're closest to the students who are high school seniors and juniors who are watching this. So if you don't mind, Savannah, you get us rolling. Introduce yourselves, tell us where you're from, and just give us a little sense of why you ended up wearing orange.
Hi guys, I'm Savannah. I'm a sophomore. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I'm studying inclusive elementary and special education. On campus, a couple things I'm involved in. I'm a tour guide for the university. I'm also involved with the school's dance marathon event called Autothon, and then I'm also a part of Greek life. And so
Awesome.
why I chose Syracuse?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's do it.
Okay. So when I was making my college list, one of the biggest things that I was looking for was a really good school of education program. A lot of colleges, you don't get started with my major till all the way up until junior year. And so when I came into Syracuse, I wasn't entirely sure if this was the major that I wanted to do. So I wanted a school that would, introduce me to the field right away. And so when I looked up Syracuse School of Education, I found out that we take education classes as early as first semester freshman year. We actually go into a classroom first semester freshman year too, which is really cool. So finding out about that, my college counselor actually recommended Syracuse to me to go tour. She thought I might like it. So then I ended up touring my second semester of my junior year in high school, and I absolutely loved it. I knew that I wanted to get out of Florida when I was looking at colleges just because I've lived there my entire life, and Syracuse is so different, especially with the weather. So I ended up touring. It was a beautiful snowy day. I fell in love with all the buildings, and I decided to do early decision.
Cool. Those are the 10 letters that you hear from everybody. The weather. We all talk about it, but you know what? We all survive it. It's great. It actually, I think it's a huge reason why people who go to Syracuse are a lot closer, because we get to spend a lot of time with the people who are right in there with it, in there with us, and we really enjoy it. John McCabe, why don't you tell everybody who you are and where you're from?
Sure thing. Thank you so much. How's it going, everybody? My name is John McCabe. I'm a senior studying accounting in the Whitman School of Management here at Syracuse University. I'm originally from Newton, Massachusetts, so just outside of the Boston area is where I call home, in addition to Syracuse, New York, of course. But on campus, I'm involved in a whole host of different opportunities, things like Greek life. I'm in an a cappella group. I also do work for Autothon, and I also help coordinate a lot of the intramural sports that are organized at Syracuse University. And, I chose Syracuse because I wanted to go somewhere where school spirit was a big part of the culture and the fabric of the community. And I think Syracuse kind of answered that call in the best way possible, because it offers an experience that is truly unique that you can't get anywhere else. I tell people, if you're looking for somewhere where football and basketball are far different, than maybe another more traditional school. We play football in a dome stadium, which is not a lot of people can say. And we play basketball in front of 25, 30,000 fans on a regular basis when it's safe, of course. But, and that's a truly unique experience that I cannot get anywhere else. And that's a big thing. But, of course, there are a lot of different little things that drew me to Syracuse, and maybe we'll get into a few of them a little bit later.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, you're right, John. The stadium has just been redone. It's really cool. We all can't wait to get in there. But 5 of our sports teams play in there, both the men's and women's lacrosse and football and men's and women's basketball. There's no other school that has that going among the big schools in the country. And the Dome is also a cool place because when we start our Syracuse days, even ancient me back in the 80s, you go in there for convocation to start, and you graduate in that same place as well. So that is such a cool space. You'll never forget it. I've got a piece of the first roof of the Dome somewhere in my office, and the roof that just changed is a piece that's coming too. So it really becomes part of your life. Let's go to Kate next. And by the way, everybody's up on campus, even though you see different backgrounds. Everybody's on campus. The seniors are in their apartments. Savannah's still in a dorm as a sophomore, so it's kind of, we all aspire to get to the apartment life at some point. So, Kate, why don't you tell everybody who you are and where you're from?
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name's Kate Edwards. I'm currently a senior here at Syracuse. I'm originally from all over, actually a military kid, but my family's currently in Minnesota. Right now I'm studying public relations at the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications. And then I've also added a major in the I School, or School of Information Studies, which is Information Management and Technology. Outside of academics, I am an Army ROTC cadet. So I also go by Cadet Edwards at the moment. And I'm involved in our professional Greek life. And just kind of to touch on why I decided to go Orange and come here to Syracuse is partly because I knew about Syracuse's commitment to veterans in the military connected and their programs to help me before I knew I wanted to become a cadet, but also because of the tradition that Mr. Tirico just touched on, that kind of full circle mentality that I think you see all over Syracuse's campus really appealed to me.
Thanks, Kate. And with your family's service, Veterans Day wishes to everybody there. And maybe later we can tell them about the new building on campus, about a year old, the Nvrc, one of the greatest buildings built on any campus in the country for veterans. So, and please, thank you for being so polite. Call me Mike. I mean, we're all Q's friends, right? So just call me Mike. It makes me feel young too. So thanks for that, Kate. Julio, didn't mean to leave you for last, but we'll say it's as good as everyone else, going batting fourth and cleanup. So tell us about who you are, where you're from.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. My name is Julio Burgos. I'm currently a senior studying economics and strategic management in the Whitman School. Originally from Miami, Florida, so I can definitely attest to the change in weather when I came up here about 3 years and a half ago. A huge difference. Something that some of the clubs that I'm involved currently on campus is, so I'm actually the current Comptroller for the Student Association here on campus. I'm also part of the Forever Orange Student Alumni Council. And I like to say that I was a former resident advisor. So Savannah probably tell you about that experience as well. But for me, it was definitely a great moment for me, just being able to welcome new students to Syracuse. One of the reasons that I decided to come to Syracuse, like some of you guys are thinking about when doing your research, you look into kind of like the things that you're interested in the most. For me, was the Master School kind of like attracted to me instantly when doing your research. Number one public affairs school in the nation. You can search that up and it'll tell you right there. And also the study abroad program that we have here at Syracuse is by far one of the greatest program in the nation. That's one of the reasons I decided to go abroad twice during my 4 years here at Syracuse University. And other reasons I like to say that I ended up here too is because I earned academic and service scholarship through the Posse Foundation. So I always like to mention that because it's a great honor for me to say that I'm a Posse scholar, and the partnerships that Syracuse University and the Posse Foundations continue to foster in the years. So that's my story.
And it's a phenomenal story. Thanks for sharing it. Let me dive into some specifics about the things you're doing. Savannah, you're involved in the honors program, right? Can you give us a little sense of what that is? Yeah, congratulations, first off. For those of us who went to school and weren't good enough to get in the honors program, like me, tell us what it's like and some of your experiences with that.
Yeah, so the honors program is something you can either apply into or they'll automatically consider it once you apply to Syracuse. And so there's not too many additional requirements being a part of it, but my favorite thing about being a part of it is that you actually get to choose your classes before everyone else, which is a really huge benefit. You don't ever get shut out of classes, which is nice. But they offer like very unique classes, and maybe like for bigger like general chemistry, they'll offer like a smaller section of it. So if you don't want to be in a class with 200 students, you'll be in a class of like 30 honor students, which is really good. But yeah, they have like super just like interesting classes. Like I know science of shipwrecks is like a huge one, and just like my friends taking like something like in the 60s, like history in the 60s, like rock and roll, which is really cool. So just like unique opportunities being part of it.
That's pretty neat. John, you mentioned Whitman before. Can you tell us about some of and that's the management school. So for the business types, folks who are interested in business, and also if you're in one school taking a major, maybe a minor in that school also, and you can get a little bit of the best of one of the best schools in the country in the business space. What are some of the real life experiences, John, that you've had in Whitman in terms of internships and things like that?
Yeah. So the Whitman School has done a lot, and they continue to do a lot with their career services infrastructure. And I think that's a large reason of why I was able to land the internship and full-time job that I'm going to have after graduation with Ernst & Young in New York City as an assurance services staff member. And I'm really excited to embark on that journey. But a lot of that was due in part to the the strong alumni network that is set up chock full of Whitman students, Whitman alumni, and networking with these professionals, I was able to say pretty early on that, I could see myself being the kinds of people that would come into my early level accounting classes, and that I would go to networking events and learn their stories. I could see myself being those people. And so, and Whitman continues to offer through things like the Impress program, through things like the Office of Career Services, these opportunities to network with a lot of alumni and a lot of professionals at these firms, so that when you do go to interview for internships and full-time job opportunities, you are a lot more comfortable talking to these kinds of people, to these people, and getting a sense of, how you expect the interviews to go. And so I definitely went into my interviews for specifically EY, but a lot more comfortable because of the experiences that I was able to have talking with and networking with alums in all sorts of careers.
We love that alumni network, and congratulations for knowing where you're going after you get that diploma. That is such a cool feeling. Congratulations. Kate, you're in a similar situation as well. I mentioned the NVRC, that's the National Veterans Resource Center. That's a new building on campus that opened this past, it's almost a year ago now, or it's a little bit less than a year ago. It was in the spring. But that's just part of a really neat campus that is very walkable, and everything feels cozy. Kate, can you just tell everyone who's watching, who hasn't had the chance to come do a tour led by one of you great tour guides, what has it been like to be on campus and a student and walk around, go to classes, go to dorms, and all that kind of stuff? How would you describe the campus to people?
Yeah, so first of all, we are very grateful for the MVRC. It's a beautiful building. We just actually opened it April 17th of this year. And so that hosts all of our different veterans groups, and then also both our Army and Air Force RTC programs. But in terms of what the campus looks like and the campus feel is, I definitely say everything is super walkable. You can look up a map online. I know it's on our website, but our campus is kind of structured like a target. So we have all our academic buildings in the first ring, where you'll find all most of our 13 colleges. And then on the outer ring is kind of our residential halls and the dining halls. So campus is super walkable. I know personally, when I was going through my college search process, I toured 24 schools, which is a bit an extreme. I don't really recommend that to anyone. But I've seen a lot of college campuses out there, and I would definitely say that Syracuse is one of the prettiest and definitely the most walkable. I love it because it's centralized, and because even now with COVID, we have our little 6-foot rings that are all painted out on the quad. And if you want to go and do work in your ring, you still can and still get that atmosphere out of the campus. So that's been a really positive experience for me, for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I follow Syracuse on Twitter and Instagram and social media, and some of those great days. And the one cool thing about the weather is, when the weather's nice in Syracuse, everybody's out. I mean, everybody is out. And there was just this one day where you just saw these circles on the quad, and you saw people in all these circles and people everywhere across the lawn of the quad, which is really cool. I mentioned my wife is an alum also. We got married in Hendricks Chapel, which is kind of where everything faces on the quad. And you can stand on those steps and look around at the entire quad, see about 4 or 5 academic buildings, and always people going somewhere, and it makes you feel great about school. And Julio, you mentioned earlier that as much as you love the campus, you also love the opportunity to travel. Can you share and go a little more in depth on some of your experiences? One of the places you went to, and how that helped impact your time at Syracuse by getting a chance to study abroad for a little bit.
No, yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things here on campus you notice is, your friends know every time you're going out for summer, you're either like talking about like, are you interning, or you're gonna be doing any project, you're gonna be doing any research. After my freshman year, I kind of found myself with no plans for the summer. So one of the things that I decided, you know what, let me just go apply and go abroad to Madrid for the summer. Went there. I ended up taking 2 classes. And those are classes that actually goes toward your degree. So it's not like you're just going for fun, but you're actually going there, taking classes that are going to count towards the classes that you need.
Did you have any fun while you were there?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Outside of that, think about it. You're there for 6 weeks. You only have 2 classes, which is basically 6 credits, and you basically have time just to basically travel around the country.
So cool.
And that's something that you don't have to do yourself. The program there itself, I remember going to about 4 different cities. I went to Toledo, Sevilla, Segovia, Palma de Mallorca. It was a lot of different, a lot of different cities, and that was cool. And for myself as well, I ended up traveling to different places myself. I remember going to London for a weekend because it was easy to travel there. From that experience, I realized, you know what, Syracuse wasn't enough. So I decided, you know what, junior year, I'm gonna plan and go somewhere else. This time I decided to go to Hong Kong. I was there for 3 months and a half. And yes, it was a very, for me, it was a very, unique experience, because if you actually think back last fall, that's where there was a lot of protests going on in Hong Kong. So it was a very historic moment for me. But outside of that, I was there for 3 months. The program is structured in the sense that you're travel for basically 2 weeks. So we ended up going to China, Beijing, so mainland China, Singapore, Malaysia, and 2 weeks, 10 weeks, we come back into Hong Kong, we take classes. And the last 5 weeks, which is a very unique program, and John probably can mention this, because a lot of the Whitman students are encouraged to go there. You get to basically work in Hong Kong for 5 weeks, which is very impressive, and that's one of the reasons that, kind of decided to go abroad is, I definitely wanted to get a global experience. I'm an econ major, I'm a minor in the Whitman School. So I want to get a sense of business from a global perspective. And I tell you honestly, to this day, it has helped me tremendously. Even my past internships and my next job after graduation, which I'll be working for Bloomberg, and that definitely gave me an edge, because I'm able to speak, about business not in the U.S. but business across the globe.
That's awesome. I love hearing about that. It's really beneficial to get a job, to enjoy in your college years, experiencing multiple different countries, and having a good time as well. It's really cool part of the study abroad program. Hey, can we just kind of real talk with everybody about what you all have been through the last couple of semesters? Because it's been rough on everybody, kids, college students, everybody in high school watching us adults too. This pandemic has really changed our lives for a long time. And you all have had to go through college 2 semesters with all this. What's helped you get through? Savannah, I'll start with you, because I've been curious, like, what's it really been like for kids who are on campus and kind of going through this tough time as a university community altogether?
It's definitely difficult at times, but finding like a close group of people that you can hang out with safely. Like, I've found my friends in my dorm. I have a couple friends that live like down the hall from me, and so it's like being able to hang out with them and do homework with them, study, whatever, like, it's made it a lot easier, especially because most of my classes are online. And so like I'm not getting too much social interaction besides like my roommate and I think just like finding a really close group that you can hang out with is good.
Yeah, when you said that, John, I saw you shake your head. You kind of found the same thing, almost like you're having your own pod of people there.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like Savannah said, it's my roommates, it's the people who I have fortunate enough to have some of my good friends that live a few houses down from me. But I think in kind of like a bigger scope of things, the people have made all the difference to me at Syracuse University, even pre-COVID, but I think it made it coming up to campus that much more meaningful of a decision, because when we got sent home in March, I wasn't able to see all of my friends and all of the people that, have made Syracuse feel like home. And so, just the people make all the difference at Syracuse University. And I think, being able to have those people, really that close group where you're able to kind of hang out with on a regular basis is just it's just been one of the best parts of my experience throughout my 4 years. And I think, this pandemic has, accentuated that in a very great way.
Kate, you mentioned the military tie to your family, so you moved around a bunch as a kid. And so you've had, I'm sure a lot of times we've had to jump in and start to make friends and then make another group of friends. So what's been your experience as you guys all together in a friend group have had to go through what the last couple of semesters have been like with COVID-19?
Yeah, I think it's definitely brought me and my close friends closer together. Mm-hmm. I've been hanging out, as both Savannah and John have said, with my roommates a lot, but then also the people that I've met through ROTC. and having had that experience of bouncing around so much growing up, I think that the transition to college was a little difficult, but it was the first time I felt like everyone was kind of transitioning with me and going out to find friends. So I had the opportunity this semester to be able to TA for a group of freshmen. And one of the things that we talked about a lot was how they were using COVID to kind of create their own little pods within their floors and things like that. So that's been really beneficial. And it's kind of forced people, I think, to make friends and get comfy, but it's not necessarily all been negative, which is good.
Julio, it's same deal with you. You've got to look at your senior year here a little bit differently. It's not what you thought it might be, and a lot of high school seniors are going through exactly the same thing in their level of education. So, are you thinking in any way that you may come out of this a little bit tighter and a little bit closer with some of the people who you're fighting through this pandemic with?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I know a lot of you guys mentioned it, John and Kaylin, Savannah mentioned it. You actually become closer to the friends that you're already close with. So one thing that Syracuse, and I appreciate this, whenever you come into Syracuse, you're always gonna find that group of friends that you're gonna be close with, you're gonna be hanging out around all the time. But something that I realized that after this pandemic, arrived here, I noticed that has brought us closer because we spend more time together. We're always doing the same thing together because we have to create our own pods. I remember going home in the spring. So one of the things that we used to do is have like bi-weekly Zoom calls because we were on campus, but we were able to do that. And those are the same friends that I started my college career with my freshman year. That to this day, and looking at it from the bright side, I would say like the pandemic has definitely brought us closer. And I wouldn't say like just because of pandemic, but I still believe that even if there was no pandemic and it was our senior year, it was still going to bring us closer because I think that's what the Syracuse experience is all about. Just having fun and getting the job done.
Yeah.
Which we're here graduating already.
Yeah, that's right. Not yet. You got a couple more months to enjoy. Another semester coming up too. Let's not rush you out the door just yet. We're gonna hang on to you guys for at least a few more months. I will tell the high school students who are watching, and these four can tell you because they're living it. There's been a ton of testing that has gone on campus. There's even been some revolutionary stuff testing the wastewater on dorm floors that's helped keep an eye on COVID outbreaks. And only now, when it seems to be really bubbling up around the country, has it impacted campus. For the most part, it was a couple of cases here and there, and a lot of that was the testing. There were almost 100,000 tests that were done on the student population and the faculty and staff here in the fall. So it's really been intentional. The Syracuse family kind of always looks after each other, and I've always believed that, and I've seen it. But in COVID especially, the administration have been really looking after everyone best they can to try to keep everybody safe. And most of the in class stuff has been pretty good. There's been no documentation of any cases happening in a classroom for anybody catching it. So everybody's done the best they can. We all know it's a tough time. Hey, I want to ask you all about some different stuff. I'm going to change the order here. Kate, you're a dual major. You've got a couple different majors. So if there are some students out there thinking about, man, that sounds really cool because I like this and I like that, how hard is it to pull that off?
So one of the things that I was most scared about when I decided to come to Syracuse was that I was in the Newhouse School and that I was only going to be able to do communication and journalism things. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that this is what I want to do, but I'm not 100%. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted my major to be. So when I got here, they have a bunch of different events and things that are all now on Zoom, so still available for you to kind of explore Newhouse in your major, but there's also things to explore kind of the other colleges that we have on campus. So one of the things that I picked up actually from older students was to check out, hey, go check out this iSchool thing. That's kind of new. Nobody can really seems to be able to define it, but it seems really valuable. So I went over and took the intro class. It's IST 195, which is the intro to the iSchool, and found out that I actually really liked it. And so the process for me was really simple. It was as simple as filling out, okay, here's your form. I'd like to be a dual student. And then you apply for that process. And I was really fortunate to have gotten it. And I didn't add that until my sophomore spring semester. So this wasn't a decision that I came into Syracuse knowing that I wanted to do, and I'm still going to graduate on time, and still haven't overloaded my semesters or anything crazy like that. So for me, the process has been actually quite seamless. And I know that I have quite other either dual major, which is in two schools, or dual students where you're in two schools, or double majors where you just simply have two majors. And everyone seems to be able to manage it quite well. So it's definitely something I didn't expect to add coming into Syracuse, but I'm really grateful for on the other end.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. I was in Newhouse and I started minoring in political science, and like, oh, you're only like 4 or 5 classes away from doing this. And I loved it. And I ended up with a dual major, and you can do that really easily all of a sudden when you step back and look at your options and alternatives. And the cool part now is you're able to do a lot more things across the school with different schools working together. So you can help piece together what works for you. Savannah, you did early decision. And I know that early decision deadline is coming up this weekend. And some of the students watching in high school have already applied early decision. Some are still maybe thinking about it. Do I hit send? Do I do this? I got all my stuff ready. Why'd you do it? And what, as you look back, was the benefits of going early decision?
I wasn't completely set on going early decision when I was looking at my college list, but then when I toured Syracuse, I was like, if I get into all my schools, Syracuse is going to be the one I pick. So why not just apply early, find out early? And I'm so happy I did it. Finding out in December, like before the end of the year, and all my other friends were waiting on their schools, it was so nice. And also I just like was able to get myself super excited that whole second semester of my senior year. I was just like looking up videos of Syracuse and like buying Syracuse merch and everything. Like I was just able to like really get excited because I knew where I was going. So definitely if you're thinking about applying early decision, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, you get a lot of good Syracuse Christmas gifts, right? It works out that way. So, and it does take the stress off the second half of that high school senior year. So if you do know it's for you and you want to be a part of it, and you got a program that you like, it's a great option. Julio, you've been involved in a bunch of different things around the campus. Can you just share with everyone the variety and how that has helped make you enjoy these 4 years of the different types of groups you've been involved with to balance out your academics there on campus?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like from experience, just joining like student association or being a resident advisor or the Forever Orange Student Alumni Council, I realized that you're always making new friends. You're always making new relationships. You're always making new experiences, and that's something that I appreciate. And for a lot of you guys in high school, like, I'll be completely honest, like college is not about just going to classes and just, getting the best. You should always aim to get the best grades you can, but there's also involvements. That's a huge part, of the college experience and of the Syracuse experience. Like we have every year, I remember every fall semester we'll have the involvement fair. You'll have 300 plus registered student organization on campus. And even if, out of those 300, you don't think that you probably don't fit in one, you do have the opportunity to create your own org, and right now as my role as the comptroller, one of the things that I'm proud to say is that we do have the funding to have major events on campus. I don't know if you guys know, but we've had every year, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Juice Jam or Black Party, like we just have artists come on campus, and that is all done because, the involvement, student appreciate that, student association see the value in that, and that's just the experience that you're just gonna get out of Syracuse. Again, it's just not all about the books, like I like to say, but it's also about the experiences and the relationships and experiences that you have with those involved in those orgs on campus.
It's such a good point, because you got your groups, you got your people you hang with, your dorm, your fraternity, sorority, whatever. But there's a ton of events every weekend that if you're not part of one of those groups, you can just show up, whether you're a part of that group or you become interested in it. There's so much variety. Every weekend there is something for everybody on campus. And I've always found that Syracuse, for not a 30, 40,000 student campus, seems to have more stuff going on than there are students for. It's really pretty cool. Hey, John, can you just talk to Freddie a little bit about school spirit? Because if I think back to our days and the people who came to Syracuse before us, and now you all, there's like such a passion about being orange and getting involved in activities. What do you see and what have you experienced in regards to the student spirit and school spirit on campus for you?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, it was one of the biggest reasons I came to Syracuse. My senior year of high school, Syracuse upset, I think it was like Virginia Tech in football, and then we beat Duke at home in basketball. And both those times, after the game, it was big wins. So everyone got to kind of run onto the field and, have that great moment. And I was like, hey, I really want to do that when I get to college and, have an experience like that. And, lo and behold, 6 weeks into my freshman year, we beat Clemson football and, I'm able to, storm the field and have an experience like that. And, that's probably honestly, 6 weeks into my freshman year, that's still one of my favorite college memories to this day. And, I've been able to be a part of some really incredible game experiences as well. Last year I can pinpoint a few games where, being from Boston, Tom Brady came to watch the Orange play and he sat courtside. Jimmy Fallon did the same thing. And, just being able to share those moments in the Dome has been incredible. But then it amazes me even further how I'm able to meet Syracuse alums and Syracuse students outside of, the university and outside of the former Carrier Dome. Because, I ran into a gentleman my freshman year in the airport in Boston. I was watching Syracuse basketball on one of the TVs and he comes up to me, he goes, "Oh, you go to Syracuse?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a student there right now. I lived in Del Plaine Hall my freshman year." He goes, "Oh, I lived there about 40 years ago." And so, just having crazy experiences like that where, you meet another person who happened to live in your residence hall a while before you did has just been nothing short of amazing. And, that's, again, just one of them. People even roll into the ice cream shop that I work at back home and I'll be wearing a Syracuse mask and they'll be like, "Hey, my son or daughter is going there," or "I went there a couple years ago," or, things like that. So, the school spirit at Syracuse is unique and it's just everyone who goes there. And I'm sure, everyone talking on this panel now, Mike, Kathleen, Savannah, Julio, can talk about how amazing that connection that we all share of being Syracuse students and alumni, just how impactful that is.
It's well said. Go ahead, Julio.
I could definitely touch on that, and I have like similar experiences. Some of us might refer to New York City as the Big Apple. I like to say the Big Orange. The reason being, seriously, I'll literally walk around New York City. If you have a Syracuse sweatshirt, I guarantee you will be stopped at least 3 times. So if you are rushing somewhere, do not have a Syracuse shirt because you will be stopped. That happens to me all the times. You have alum asking you like, "Hey, how's your experience? Where you live now? Like, how's campus now?" I had even I connected with them on LinkedIn, and right after we met, he said, "Hey, if you ever need anything from me, just let me know and I'll connect you. If I don't know, I just connect you with someone that does." So it speaks volume when it comes to Bleeding Orange.
Kate, you've experienced that, it looks like.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah, it's actually happened to me at my grocery store at home in Minnesota. I was out to pick up some milk and this woman stopped me and said, "My daughter's going here. What advice do you have? Like, here's my email. Like, just let me know like how everything is." And so it's happened everywhere. So not just the Big Apple, also small town Minnesota. So
it's pretty cool. That's awesome. Yeah, we should say that even though many of the dorms that we all lived in, those of us who are in our 50s or late 40s, they have been upgraded and they have been updated. So they're not the same dorms that on the inside that they were, but it is cool. It's kind of history and legacy. When we all linked into this conversation, I was asking everybody, "Hey, what dorm do you live in? Where do you guys live?" And I used to live in Brewster and then in Watson East. And then I used to live down on Harrison in an apartment my senior year. And we all kind of know that. And here we are, truly 35 years removed from our college experience, and I can still connect with what you all are talking about. And that's what part of our family is. All right, 30 seconds each. Savannah, I'm going to have you go first, then I'll let the 3 seniors finish. High school seniors sitting out there, high school juniors, they've got a bunch of really great schools out there. Tell them in 30 seconds why they should be orange.
Well, I think you should be orange just because of the family. Like, I know that sounds so cheesy, but the orange family like really is such an impactful part of your college experience. Just like the people I've met have been so incredible. The faculty, my professors I've had, just like people that live in my dorm, like everyone has just really made my 1.5 years at college just so amazing. And I think that just the orange community is something really unique to Syracuse, and I love it.
That's awesome. Thanks. John?
Yeah, I mean, you should go orange because Syracuse truly is the best of every single college world you could possibly ask for. It's the best of every world. It's not just two of them. You know, it's a really good middle size, but at the same time, you do get a lot of that big time school spirit. But at the same time as that, you know, you get a lot of these really individualized attention in the classroom with, you know, smaller class sizes and all that. So it's a really good, you know, it's a really good it's the best of every world without being a compromise. You know, I'll say it's the best every time. I really couldn't see myself going anywhere else. And, you know, you do get a little bit of everything here.
It's awesome to hear, and congrats on already having a job locked up too. That's especially in these times, it says a lot about the school, but it says more about you. So congratulations. And you too, Julio, why don't
Thank
you give everybody your 30 seconds on why they should be part of the Orange family.
No, yeah, absolutely. If you want to have an unforgettable experience, definitely come to Syracuse. And when you're looking about when you're looking at schools, also think about the value that you're getting from that school. And I know my experience, everyone else's experiences here can tell you there's definitely value when you do come to Syracuse University. And one thing is, you know, when you come here, I guarantee you that you will not leave the same person that you were when you came in. 4 years after, you know, coming in, I can definitely tell you I'm a completely different person for the better. And that's something that I'll be forever grateful for.
Thanks for sharing that. It's really cool. All right, Kate, you get the last word.
All right, awesome. I just want to echo what Julio said. I have completely transformed in my time here at Syracuse from who I came in as a freshman, and I'm a person who tries everything, and I feel like I could do another 4 years and still feel like I didn't do everything that Syracuse has to offer. And so that's why I would advise, if you're thinking about it, to go orange. But I always end my tours with, we hope that wherever you end up, you find your family. And I know that everyone here has found their family at Syracuse, and they're true people, but we wish everyone the same.
I didn't know that's where you ended your tours, but I'm glad I ended our little tour together with you, because that's really a perfect thing to say. And I can tell you all honestly, and this is for the high school students that are out there and for the parents who might be listening over your shoulders. There really is something special about our school. These four are not just four of the best and the brightest, although they're pretty darn good, but this is the passion that a lot of us have for the school years and years and years later. And I didn't know you guys at all, but I feel connected right away after just a little conversation, because you brought me back to so many of the good times in my life. And I'm glad you all are having great times, even in these tough times, in those same places. So Savannah, Julio, John, Kate, thank you very much. You make all of us alums proud, and we really appreciate your time. And stay safe, and everybody back home there, you stay safe. Peter, this was really cool. This is a lot of fun. You can set this up every month for me. It'd be great. I love talking to the students. So thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun for us.
I was muted for my best joke. I so appreciate, Mike, you hosting this conversation, and Kate, Julio, Savannah, John, thank you so much for being a part of it. You know, folks, we really appreciate you joining us tonight, and I hope you've learned a little bit about what it means to be orange. And having spent about 20 years in the admissions office here, people often ask what it is about Syracuse that keeps me here and keeps us going, and it really is the people. And I think that you had a chance to learn a little bit that Syracuse people do everything they do 100%, and do probably a little bit of everything, and are often the kinds of people who wake up in the morning and think they can do it all. And so if that sounds like you and you want to learn more about us, we'd encourage you to connect with our staff, to plug into some of our sessions we have coming up, and we'll certainly follow up with folks who attended tonight to provide some more touch points on some of the things that have been discussed, and to provide some next steps. So again, truly from the really bottom of our hearts here in Central New York. Thank you to each of you for giving up your time, and thanks folks for tuning in. We hope you stay well and go Orange. Good night.